All right, we are back with another episode. I'm co-host Terry along with my best friend Brisha, and together we are long time, good time.
What do we got?
What the hell?
I just want to make a different sound for each episode. They're gonna be like, "Is that girl ADHD?" Yeah.
Oh my! All right, so we are going to have the conversation. I don't even know why this is one of the biggest conversations, but it is. So we got to talk about the whole 50-50. You can't talk love and relationships without talking 50-50. And AJ is on the social media streets more than me, so maybe you got a better idea of the origin of this. But essentially, obviously, this is a man, or sorry, I shouldn't say that. This is two partners that are splitting things financially even.
Or the technical term, they're egalitarian. You know, they are splitting their duties evenly down the middle.
Enchante. Okay. So that's a good place to start, because I always perceived it as strictly financial. So is this more gender role?
I think so. When you hear the term 50-50, usually, yeah, they're referring to finances. Yeah, I would say that. But more now that the conversation is shifting into rhetoric that is addressing the common phrase you may hear of like what's the phrase they call it, a single married moms, where it's like the woman is taking care of like these large loads of things, and the men folk just have to work and that's it, and moms are working and cooking and cleaning and taking care of kids, and so you
the T-Rads.
And that's so now single. You're starting to
They're not single.
No, they're not single, but they might as well be, is what people are saying, if their partner is literally not contributing absolutely anything else. So now I'm starting to hear 50-50 being addressed to more than just finances. It's more so like you need to be helping with some cooking and some cleaning and some child care and some hospital visits and some blah 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 blah. So for the most part, yeah. It used to 50-50 used to talk about just finances, but now that society is shifting, now that our economy is more inflated than Tom Brady's footballs,
oh my God,
we are now moving into more than just finances, because if we're both working, why am I the only one contributing X, Y, and Z? People are starting to look into that, no matter which partner is contributing what. So now the 50-50 is moving into, all the other duties that come with being a partner.
All right, so let's just start here. What are your thoughts with financial, in regards to financial? What are your thoughts on 50-50, and then kind of give me your experience with finances and relationships?
Yeah, so my thoughts are this. If you are going to pick a system, so there, most people know there's patriarchal, matriarchal, egalitarian. Whatever system you choose, I just say stick to it fully. I don't like people who try to partially be a part of a system, and because that's usually what causes the rifts. You see a lot of men who want to be in a patriarchal society. They want to be the providers. They want to be the protectors. Blah, 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 blah. And that's cool. But that means that also you are the one who's working and bringing in the money. You are the one who's providing said house, said car, said whatever it is that you're supposed to be. That's the patriarchal system. There's too many people who they want the patriarchy without actually having the accolades to give to the partner. You want to just be able to control the situation, say, I'm the man, I make the decisions, and you want to do that with her money. Or you want to do that with her house, or you want to, you know what I'm saying? So that's where the ripples come in, is because it's like, if you're going to be patriarchal, sir, do it the right way. Or,
selective patriarchy.
So I'm like, I'm not saying that one system's more or less than the other, but whatever you choose, do it right. Because then you have a lot of folk who when they want to do patriarchy will say, well, I want to be the head of my household. Okay. But then as soon as a woman is leaning on you fully, all of a sudden she's a gold digger. Sir, that doesn't make sense. You said you wanted to be a part of a patriarchal, you wanted a patriarchal led relationship. So lead. That means somebody leaning on you 100%. And then vice versa, you have the matriarchy where, the head of the family is a woman. And a lot of times you have the situations that we see where the ripples happen with that, where the woman is like the main breadwinner and she's got a partner who's, doing X, Y, and Z, is that the constant thing that we see there is most matriarchals fall apart in America. We're speaking in context of like over here. I can't speak to other countries. Is that you have the ego strain of one, men, they say this, we can't validate you as a man can speak on this. Men, the intimidation of, they say that instinctively men feel like they need to be the provider. They don't like the idea of their woman making more or holding it over their heads that they are the providers. And so you have these dynamics where now men folk feel like they're losing their pride when they are in these matriarchal situations. But it's like, sir, you cannot say you want to have a sugar mama, you know what I'm saying, and then be mad that she's controlling things. The same aspect. If that's the system you chose, live within that system. And then if you're going to do egalitarian, you guys are providing all things, equally on each front. So, but then you get people into what they think is egalitarian, but this person's covering 80%, this person's covering 20%. They not covering all the grounds, And so people are like, well, I feel like I'm contributing more, and we're supposed to be. So, longest story short, if you're going to choose a system, do it right. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Right. You did not answer the question. What do you think about 50-50?
That's my thought. My thought is that do it right. Pick one and do it right. Why are you out here talking about you want to lead somebody and you don't have nothing to lead with? Why did you pick patriarchy if you knew that you didn't have the discipline to go out here and work and make some money and build a house and provide for a family? If you are a man who decides, working ain't really my thing, I am better at doing the house stuff. Okay, so if you're going to choose the matriarchy system, why are you now arguing with your wife about belittling you and making you feel like you're unimportant? You chose that. You don't. She's doing what she's supposed to do. If she's the matriarch, she's going out and providing the bread and butter. Then why are you complaining about your ego? That doesn't make sense to me. If you 50-50, do the damn 50-50. Why you want to come in 50-50 and you want to pay less? Make it make sense. So, or contribute less. It just doesn't make sense. As for me and mine's, we shift.
We was about to fight because you still ain't answered the question.
As for me and mine's, we shift towards need. We are
okay.
We don't subscribe to either or. We are going to do what's needed, and we respect whatever that is at that moment. So we know how to pivot, and we both respect each other. We both understand the goals that we have, and we move around that because my relationship was a little bit different. My partner is from a different country, so we had to go through a whole thing of someone relocating to a whole new country, trying to transfer a resume, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, when my husband first got here, it was a matriarchy because, you know, he's new to a whole new country. You know what I'm saying? Then when, I think I was we're both students in my later years of college, you know, we're both students, we're both making meager monies, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, it's more egalitarian. It's 50-50. We both got to contribute here because otherwise we ain't going to survive. You know what I'm saying? And now we move into I contribute a little bit, but for the most part, we're kind of in a patriarchy because my husband takes care of everything. And I work and stuff like that too. I'm not saying I don't contribute anything, but the foundation is laid by him. So we kind of we rock and roll according to what our need is. You know,
Yeah.
we are very pro us in whatever form that is. We're gonna get it done. So
yeah, I think that, you know, makes the most sense. And it is very much tied to, again, your expectation or your collective expectation and collective idea of what the relationship looks like. And, you know, to me, I'm very, I think right brain, I don't remember. I'm analytical. I'm more like just logical. So that makes sense to me. Like, it's not going to always look the same. If the situation changed, things change. But for a lot of people, they stick to whatever their foundation is. Maybe it's religious, maybe it's something else, but they feel like, okay, this is what I believe in, this is what marriage is supposed to look like, and we gonna rock that way. But like you said, it does change. Now, what's interesting to me and why I asked in the beginning was that gender roles and finances aren't always the same thing. Sometimes they cross over, sometimes they don't. In the previous episode, we was talking about how women control the money, even though the men made the money. You know, they talk about the traditional American home of the 50s and all
back
that
in the day,
post the war.
If you go to your Mima and Papa house right now, your Mima still running that money. You know, that's how that era, that generation operated. Yeah.
And so even though one person might be the earner, somebody might be operating or making decisions. And so obviously each relationship is different, but having or making the money, I should say, doesn't always mean, you know, your role is to make every decision. So I think a lot of times, especially when you talk about ego, people conflate those things together. They're not mutually exclusive. It's not always going to be one or the other. And so if you tie your quote unquote manhood, or if you tie your head of the household title to your ability to earn income, and things change, then, you know, what does that mean? And
that's how a lot of relationships fall apart. You have to, this is what I'm saying, when you go into these relationships, you have to go in with the goal that that's the goal, us, whatever that means. There are so many people, like we said in our last episode, their idea of themselves is in these titles or in these actions. You know, I'm the man, so I gotta take out the trash, I gotta fix the car, I gotta go get the oil change because I'm the man. You know, they put so much into what it is to be something. So, you know, I'm the man, I provide, I'm the woman, I gotta cook, I'm the woman, I clean, I'm the woman, I take care of the children, I'm the, you know, they put so much into these titles so that when those, like you said, those dynamics change. Let's say, you know, you work at the car plant, it closes, now you're no longer the provider. In a realistic situation, y'all shift. So now you're at home, now you do more childcare, stuff like that. But you literally have people, they break because they have put so much into being that definition of something that they don't even know how to shift into another system. You know, now I'm at the bar drinking myself to death because I can't provide no more. you know,
Yeah, you build your self image and
and
tie
your self-worth into
yeah.
those boxes. You consume, you literally, there's too many boxes people confine themselves in when they do that.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not a real woman unless I, you know,
Yeah.
unless I know how to do this, that, and that. And these are all life skills that all people should have. All people, because we're all single at some point. We all don't just automatically have a partner. So everyone should know how to cook. Everyone should know how to clean. Everyone should know how to make money. Everyone should have skills. Everyone should know how to rear a child or change a diaper or whatever it is. Everybody should know that. And the fact that you guys are using those as attributable like traits, you know, for specific genders or specific ideas of genders is weird. Has always been weird to me. Has always been weird to me. What do
Yeah.
you mean you're
And
gonna go
then
through society and not learn how to cook because your wife is quote unquote going to do it? What do you mean you're gonna move through society and not have a job because your man's gonna provide? No.
oh yeah. I mean, there's people that definitely subscribe to that, and there's definitely obviously a whole history
They
behind
find
that.
themselves in a whole heap of trouble. You ever see all of the wives, 25, 30 plus year marriages? The husband decide he finally done and he leave, and you ain't worked that whole time and got a skill under your belt and didn't have no part-time job, no little side gig, no nothing. And now you fall on hard times because you don't even have a resume as an adult woman. My parents have always trained me to never lean on anybody for anything, because they knew that you are not always going to have somebody. You have to be able to provide for yourself. Yeah, you can eventually get a partner, but you at the baseline need to be able to provide for yourself. And anybody that can just blindly say, I'm going to rely 100% on somebody to do something, y'all are playing. I don't know. I'm not a gambler. I'm not going to gamble that. I gotta have some skills of my own. I can't gamble. I can't put that much on somebody. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't lean on my partner, but I'm not going out of the gate saying I'm never going to learn that thing because I'm going to have somebody else do it. What? Y'all are brave.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you said before, is that you make a decision. Well, I won't even say stick to it, but you do it correctly. Like, when I think about what I grew up around with my parents, it was the traditional patriarchy, the whole Christian marriage, quote unquote. But I don't even know if there were many times where my dad was the top earner in the house. And there was definitely a few times, kind of almost like you said, where the work got shut down, and so in between jobs, and he definitely wasn't making money, but that didn't change like how they operated as in their relationship and everything, which I don't even know that I ever thought about that as a kid, because my parents that's not how they roll. It was very much by the Bible. The man is the head of the household just because he's a man. So whether my dad had a job or not, that was not me thinking. I don't know how much he made when I was a kid. Like, I never thought about that. Like, he's dad, so he's in charge. And so they understood what they wanted, and they
Right. And it's something they made an amicable decision because they've been able to operate within that system successfully, because whatever they chose, that's what they're doing it.
Yeah. So that, like you said, I think that's a big part of it. And then I mean, just financially for me, I haven't made it to that point where I had to make those choices, so I can't say definitively, but from my experience personally and from seeing others, I just think it makes, I don't know, it's tough. It makes sense, that kind of mentality of what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. But I think I would probably approach it, unless I learn something different, as like we have our joint account and then we have our own separate like accounts as well.
Yeah,
And
that's a whole nother conversation. People go up in the rear about that. I
well,
know that's
yeah,
another big conversation too. What do you mean? You
and
know, there are some people who are
that's
like, I don't believe in sharing accounts, and there's some people like, we better have an account together. And there's some people who have, like you said, a joint one, and they have their own personal. But that those decisions are definitely not.
yeah. I like I said, I can't say definitively, but in my mind, as I sit here today, that's how I think I would probably want to approach it.
Mhm.
But you know, that's just me. I have a whole nother person to consider when I get to that point. But to me, I'm like, okay, we should put and I'm not like a guru, but I'm more aware of financial options than the previous generation was before us. And so
Mhm.
I'm sure there's more layers to it than that. We're talking about accounts for college savings, we talk about investments and all those different things. But generally, I would think the majority of our pot, or at least maybe what comes from our core functions, goes into our joint account. And then if we got side hustles or we doing side things, then we got our own little account for that. Is how I would imagine it. But
I've been in this one relationship in several different things. Like I said, so when me having an immigrant spouse, when he first moved here, we had a joint account because obviously we have to prove that we're operating, that amicably for paperwork and stuff like that. And I think we had a joint account for quite some time, but once he got used to our system and started to do his own thing, we're both not really super nosy people. We're both very responsible, and we both prove that we handle business. So somewhere in the midst, I can't even pinpoint. We both have our own accounts now. Like I don't have access to his. He doesn't have access to mine. I don't know how much money he got. He don't know how much money I got. We don't really. These are not things that bother us per se. Whatever responsibilities or duties we have to the family, we take care of. So we've never had to account check each other in that way. But I know that I have several people in my life who are like, absolutely not. If they're married, they want to have a joint account. Like that's like a end all type of thing for them. And they're like, we're one unit, so we need to have one. And that's their ideology, that's their thought. I guess me and my husband, as most people will start to learn, we're really on a trust system over here, and it's been working for 15 years. So we don't really be in each other's business like that.
And I
We
feel
take care
like
of what needs to be taken care of, but that's not everybody. Some people, that's an absolute no. They need to know. And I'm like, that's just not me. But but we at some point had a joint account and we operated jointly, and then we went to having a joint account and two separate accounts, and then we went to just having our separate accounts. But
yeah, I think I mean, it's different strokes for different folks. Of course, people got to work that out. And I feel like for me, being like without kids, it would probably be different. And then when I had kids, that probably would change my philosophy. But I don't know. There's a lot of ways to go about it. Like I said, there's so many financial options these days. So there's a lot of ways to go about it. But me personally, I don't know, because these things can come in handy not only just for access to money, but legally. And again, like you said, it really is based on trust, because so many
right,
things
because we
happen.
might.
And
Who's to say that when we decide we want to buy a home, we switch back to a joint account because now we have this big financial goal that we're both trying to meet. You know what I'm saying? And that purchase has to come through one thing. So it's like we just constantly shift to what's needed. But I know that Lord, I lost my train of thought. But I know that I think it's I'm gonna hand it back because literally the thought has flown from me.
Oh, I was just gonna say that now I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I don't remember what I was saying.
I blame the dyes in the food. Go ahead.
Now we off. But yeah, I think financially though, when you're talking strictly financially, is in terms of 50-50. And again, it's not the exact same as gender roles, but there is a part that's tied to it. It just really comes down to the core of what you believe a relationship should look like. And as we know, there's so many different things that people don't discuss prior to getting in a relationship, or they don't discuss deep enough when they're in a relationship, and that's one of those things. And so, but if you took the time to establish that, then I think that helps guide some of these decisions, because I don't necessarily think there's a right or wrong answer. I definitely feel like it really depends on just the couple. And so me just kind of speaking for myself, that's kind of what I was thinking. But like in terms of 50-50 in a bigger conversation, gender role wise, I mean, I am of the belief of very much equal relationship. Like I look for a part, or I would like to have a partner eventually. I don't want to have another child. I don't want to have I don't want to have a maid. I don't want to have a, I don't want that. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody in their way of living, but just for me in general, I want to have somebody that's on equal footing with me. And so even before this became a conversation, I think 50-50 was naturally, and that's not just in the idea of who's making money and who has access to money, but also what you do. I mean, same thing like you said, and I don't really even see this a lot, to be honest, but there's no world where a dad should be like, well, I don't know how to change diapers, that's my wife's job. Like, I'm not standing up with the kids.
But they exist. That's the scary
part.
They
exist, but I'm just saying, in this generation of dads and the millennial generation, I don't see that every day.
No, I feel like millennials were definitely shifting,
Yeah.
But
I would just say all the dads I know have had to do daddy duty. Like, and it's not always the exact same, but there's no expectation of like, okay, all right, we had this kid, I'll holler at you and the kid when you're done raising it. Like, it's not like that. And it shouldn't be. And me personally, I would never treat it that way. I would say, obviously, I cook, but people don't know. So I cook, I already know how to cook. And I never would want it to be a situation where it's like,
right,
I'm doing this strictly because I'm a man and you're doing this strictly because you're a woman. Now I might be better at something, or I might be more experienced at something. That's fine. Like, I don't build my self-image personally on my gender. So if I ended up with a woman who was like, yeah, my dad was a mechanic, I know how to change tires and do the oil.
Literally me. Literally me. I grew up watching my dad take cars apart and putting them back together. I am mechanically inclined because of my father. I've never had male friends or my partner be mad that I knew how to do certain things. My husband loves to cook. I know how to cook too, but he loves to cook. So why would we operate in a hemisphere that I'm doing all the cooking when there's a person in the house that loves to do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So that was actually my point that I forgot, that I was trying to say. Gendering duties has always been weird to me. I like operate in what your strong suit is. I happen to be really good at child rearing, so I can, that's the role usually attributed to women. I also just happen to be good at it. So is my husband. So we both have that as a strong suit. My husband loves to cook. We both know how to cook, but he loves to cook. That's his thing. I love mechanics. That's my thing. He knows how to weld and do electrical engineering, and he knows how to. His father was a carpenter and can build stuff from scratch. I can't do none of that, but he can. So it's like we just operate in what our strong suits are. It has nothing to do with gender. I'm very organized. I like to have my laundry done in a very specific way, so I do laundry. I don't do it because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I'm just good at it. That has nothing to do with my gender. So when I'm changing my tire and changing my oil and stuff like that, am I suddenly a man? No, but there are some people who are like, how many times when I'm working on my car, people, men, you need some help? You got that, little lady? Thinking that it's a compliment or it's cute. Sir, why would I not know how to do these things? I've never thought, and a lot of times this is a generational thing because they come from generations where, we weren't doing those things, and I get it. But like, it's a new day. People have different skills. Use them.
Yeah, I would say just at the end of the day, if anybody is truly like that upset about this or like that involved in this conversation, then it's somebody that is just truly deeply committed to whatever their beliefs and values are, usually religious. And
I just don't understand why people feel like they needed to pit their ideologies on other people. That's what the one thing about internet rhetoric and all the conversations that people are having is, why do you strongly need other people to believe what you believe? Nobody else is going to determine what you eat and where you sleep or not. Just you. Why do you care if another man is doing 50-50, or if another man, you ain't no real man if your woman gotta work? You ain't no real. Who cares? Why do you care about what somebody else got going on? I never understood, our need to be like collective thinkers. We got to be around people who think exactly like us. Like, I don't know, that whole feeling like we have to rhetoric behind people, indoctrinate people to our beliefs. Why do we feel like we need to do that with everything?
Yeah.
Just believe what you believe and move on. Damn.
Yep. And I mean, that's why
I don't need nobody to subscribe to what I believe. This is what works for me. Do what works for you.
And that's just what it is at the end of the day. Especially in person. Online is going to be online, but that's why I was just going to say, to wrap it up, like, it's either somebody that's deeply into their beliefs and values that they feel they are, gotta put other people onto the same thing, or somebody that's just nosy in somebody's business when they don't really need to be. So if you are seriously having the 50-50 debate with somebody, it's probably not worth it. That's what I would say. All right, so I think that's it. We're done with this. So go make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Hope come back to the next episode. Hopefully we jammed y'all Glock, and we'll see you next time.